So you can tell we're in this cool trailer. We're kind of at the stage now where we got U-shape built, we got the bed put in, we got cabinets in the back, and we're ready to do water lines. And so people all the time, you watch videos on YouTube and stuff about water lines, and people get confused and they see a million posts. It's a simple process. You got to just think of how the water is going to flow. So if you look right here, I'm going to have a fresh water tank in this RV, meaning that I can sit here and pull water from this if I'm boondocking somewhere. We have a water pump, which is going to pull the water out. We have our water heater, which is our cool electric one. And then we're going to put all of our water coming in here. It's going to run all the way down to the bathroom, through the kitchen, into the shower, and that's a deadline. So when you're thinking about water, think of your starting point, which is going to be for us right here. And you're going to think about where you're going to end up, and you're going to end up back there at the shower. And from here on, it's just a matter of connecting all your lines. All right, so this is a 45-gallon freshwater tank. This is our fill here. So what you want to make sure first when you cut in your lines, you only get one shot, is make sure that your fill is higher than your fill line. So you want to put it up here so the water flows down. You don't want to put it down here. Water doesn't travel upward. All right, so we'll go ahead and just drill this out. So that is our fresh water fill. Now your city water fill, you want to put it after your water pump. So if you look at this here, here's my water pump. If you look on here, you want to see where your arrow is. That's showing you the flow in which the water needs to go away from the tank. This arrow is pointing this way. My water tank's going to go here. We're going to go from our tank to the pump, and then our pump to all of the different outlets where the water is going to go. I need to still drill in my city water connection. City water basically is if I'm plugging in a hose on the side from the RV park or my house, I don't need the water pump. So I want to make sure that line goes after the water pump so that it doesn't backfeed in. So that height doesn't really matter as long as it's in line with the pump and the water PEX lines. Now I'm going to put in my city water connection, and to make it easier on myself, I'm going to make it about the same height here so I can just tap directly in. A lot of these vintage trailers came with copper lines, which, you got to remember these lines are 50 years old and they calcify. So if you start getting leaks, instead of trying to patch in and fix and sweat copper lines, it's easier just to go ahead and put these PEX lines in. They're better in the winter. That will expand a little bit and they won't explode like a copper line. And you're getting clean water. That's more important. So now we got our fresh water fill already cut out. We're on the outside. We got our city water fill. The key here to make this easier for yourself, instead of trying to put this in and mount it and then trying to connect everything like your hose and everything inside the wall, unless you have really small fingers, it's tricky. So what I try to do is do everything on the outside and then feed it through like this. So it's already connected, and then you just make your connections inside. And that's part of the process of how you cut down your time and make it a lot simpler. So let's go ahead and tighten these up, get this on. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have to stick it in to mount it. Anytime you screw in the side of your trailer, you're allowing potential water to get through. So what you want to do is you want to use butyl tape. And this stuff too, you can get this in the roofing department of any hardware store. And this, what it does, it basically seals up all your screws. It keeps you from water getting through wherever you screw those in. Just make sure you get the holes covered. Don't get this in your shoe. It's like stepping on bubble gum that you can never get out. This is an overflow valve right there, so I want to make sure that stays at the top. Stick it on, start screwing it in. We're using self-tappers. These help tap into the metal. You can see the edge. Not your regular screws, self-tappers. That makes it easy to drill right through the aluminum. And make sure you get it nice and secure. All right, so that fitting's connected. Let's move on now to our city water fill. All right, so this is our city water fill. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to use butyl tape. We're going to do all of our fittings before we go through the wall, so we're not trying to crimp these while it's attached. What I did though to make this fit, you can see our hole fits perfectly here. I actually shaved down the ends of these hand fittings and tightened it. That way I can slide this right through. It makes it a lot easier. That'll save you a tremendous amount of time. Let's go ahead and crimp this up. 1/2-inch PEX fittings. You gotta have a special tool for this. The key here is make sure that you get just slightly off the edge of where the pipe ends. If you get too far out here, you're going to get a leak. If you get too close, water's going to squirt through and it's going to leak as well. So that's the prime spot right there. Same thing, we're going to be drilling holes in the sides, so we're going to put butyl tape in. Alright, last but not least, stick it through the hole. Screw it in, and you are done. Outside finished. Again, you got to hear it 27 times in 30 days to remember it. Water flow from tank to water pump down your line. Arrows pointing that way. So I can make all these connections to like my city water and my water pump at a later time. But the most important thing I want to see is just so you know the flow. We're going to start with our blue, which is going to be our cold water first. Because the red, which is going to be your hot, will go off of this tank and then run from there. So we got to get water flowing through the trailer first. Blue is going to also go into the hot water heater. So that's why red goes out from there. But first, let's go ahead and run our blue lines. Let's just follow it down to where we're going. It's not important right away to do all your cuts in your bins. You can do that stuff and add your fittings and get it to drop down on the wheel well. Right now what I'm focused on is I want my lines to be ran throughout the trailer where we need them. So if you look here, we're running down here. We're going to have to wrap back around into the shower. If you look at it this way, I'm going to run my pipes through here and around. I'm going to have branches that go off of this into my toilet, into my sink, and then into my shower, which my shower fixture can either go here on the inside of the seat, or it can go on the back wall. Alright, you see I just drilled a hole. Cover that up, and you just put trim around the bottom floor to cover up the pipe so no one sees it when it's in there. But just keep feeding your lines all the way through the trailer. Get it to where you need to be. So let's keep drilling through. So this will be the cold water for my shower head. All you gotta do is cut down that, run a fitting up with a 3-way, and that'll be the cold water for your vanity. Cut a line right here with a 3-way and run a pipe up, and that'll be the fitting for your toilet. All right, so now that we have the freshwater cold ran, you can see here's our water heater. Remember that on these water heaters, doesn't matter if it's this or a gas one, the cold water always goes to the bottom part of the tank. And then your hot water, which is now is going to be our starting point for hot water, is going to come out of the top part of the water heater, and that's going to be a red pipe. And you're going to do the same exact thing you did with the blue lines, is you're going to follow it from the water heater back, stop at your sink, and stop at your shower. So you have 2 points where you're going to connect. And of course here in the kitchen, you can do a splice up for that one too. But remember on this, for hot water, it goes from the top of your water tank back to your dead point. If you notice on this one, I switched it up to make it easier. I ran it back this way and had the 2 meet right here behind the toilet for my hot water line. But that's all the lines ran. Typically something like this should take, I mean we do it all the time, so something like this would probably takes us about 45 minutes to plumb out a whole vintage trailer. But it maybe take you more than 2 hours tops hooking everything up.